All right, today I want to do something rather bold. We want to take our system of linear equations. We have three equations and three unknowns, but rather than doing the graphing or the substitution or the elimination properties, we're going to put it into what we call an augmented matrix. An augmented matrix is going to look something like this. There you go. So what we've done is stripped out the x, y, and z, and we've just written the coefficients in the first three columns, which would represent x, y, and z. The fourth column would represent the constants, and as we solve this and put it in using Gaussian elimination, we put it in reduced row echelon form, which will look like this. In this form, we can see that x is 2, y is -1, and z is 3. Okay, we're going to use the CAS calculator to put this together because this is much more fun this way. So, first off, we're going to click on New. We're going to add a calculator. And on that calculator page, there are various ways to put in a matrix, but this is probably the easiest. Clicking right here and grabbing the matrix. Now, we have to define the dimensions. We remember that there are 3 rows and 4 columns. Very good. Now all I have to do is just type in the coefficients that were in my matrix. So I'm just typing in the numbers. I'm using tab to move across here. One of the traps for putting these in is the signs. So be very careful. I can go ahead and use either the negation key or the subtract key because this is an Nspire. It interprets both of those the same way. So I think we'll be okay. And then I want to double check to make sure I put them in. Very good. Once I got that, I'll just press enter to make sure I've got it in there correctly. So what we want to do is use the power of the calculator and to change this using some row operations. If I go to Menu, Matrix, Row Operations, I'm going to choose multiply row. All right. So the reason I picked this one is because this first element right here, this 2, well, or probably this 2 right here, has got to become a 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this whole row by 1/2. So here we go. Using this command mrow, I multiply by 1/2. Here's my control divide to put in my 1/2, comma, and then the syntax wants the matrix. So I just cursor up and copy it. So I cursored up and I pressed enter and I got it there. Comma. Then I have to tell it which row I'm operating on. Row 1. And then I close my parentheses. So what this will do is take 1/2 of the first row. And there it is. You notice that I got a 1 here in the first position. The next thing I want to do is put zeros here in row 2 and row 3. So I'm going to go back to that same command. There's another powerful one that I can use. Matrix, row operations. This one is multiply and add. All right. So as I put this one in here, what I want to do is multiply that top row by -3, comma, cursor up and copy my matrix, comma, and the row that I want to affect is first row, comma, and then add that to my second row, or replace my second row. Very good. Now I can see I have a 0 right here. What I want to do is get a 0 right there. So this time I'm going to use the first and third rows using that same command. Menu, Matrix, Row Operations, multiply and add. I need to multiply that top row by -2, comma, cursor up and copy my matrix, comma. I'm going to affect the top row. I'm going to multiply the top row by -2, and I'm going to replace the third row. Close parentheses. Very good. Now I can see that I have a 1, 0, 0 in the first column, which is exactly what I want for my row echelon form. I have a 1 here in the second row, second column. What I need is a 0 here. So I'm going to use that same command, Menu, Matrix, Row Operations, multiply and add. I want to multiply row 2 by negative 2, comma, cursor up and copy the matrix, comma, I want to multiply row 2 and then replace row 3. There we go. I've got my 1, 0, 0 in the first column. I have 1, 0 in the second column. And now I can see with this 1 right here, I have 1, 3. That indicates that Z is going to be equal to 3. Now I could use another method called back substitution, because this is in what we call row-echelon form, REF, row-echelon form. But I want to put zeros here, here, and here. So what I'm going to do is the same sort of thing. Let's start by going back up here. So what I do is I work my way down, and now I'm going to work my way back up and over. So it's just kind of the opposite way that I was going. So I want a 0 right here, using that same command. Menu, matrix, row operations. I want to multiply and add. I want to multiply row 3, comma, cursor up and copy my matrix, comma, by 2. Whoops, sorry, I need to get that right. I want to multiply this by 2, thank you. And I want to multiply row 3 and then replace row 2. There we go, that looks a little bit better. Very good. That gives me a 0 right here, and now I can see that y is equal to negative 1. I have 2 more operations. I need to change this to a 0 and change that to a 0. So I go back, 2 more iterations, matrix, row operations, multiply and add. I want to multiply row 3 by just a negative. So I'm going to multiply it by negative 1, comma, cursor up, get my matrix. I'm going to multiply row 3 by negative 1 and replace row 1. And now I have my 0 there. I have 1 more to go right here. Menu, matrix, row operations, multiply and add. I'm going to multiply row 2 by 2, comma, cursor up, grab my matrix, comma. I want to multiply row 2 by 2 and add it to row 1 and replace row 1. And there it is. I can see now it is in reduced row echelon form, which is very, very cool. One of the reasons that you do this is so that you can see the operations as you go along. Now, there's a much cleaner, faster way if you want to get to it. So what we'll do is I'm just going to introduce a new page right here. We'll just insert a new page. Here we go. And this time, with this calculator, I'm going to well, let's see. Actually, I can copy this. Let's copy my original problem because I'm far too lazy to type it. Control C, right? So if I do Control C, I can copy this. I can move over to my other page, and Control V will paste it. Okay, there it is. Press Enter. So this is the matrix that I started with. There's another command, you probably saw it here on the matrix. It's called Reduced Row Echelon Form. And if I do Reduced Row Echelon Form and I copy, or I cursor up and copy this down and press Enter, you can see that I can get there rather quickly. The reason that I go through the procedures with the row operations is because sometimes we get lost in the arithmetic, in multiplying and adding or dividing and subtracting or whatever with the row operations. And this way we can go ahead and check our work to make sure our operations are right. We can put it in reduced row echelon form to begin with so that we can see our solution and learn from that. All right, I think that's it.